events like this, meetings, are not about technology. This is an important point. They're not about pretty slides with a man that's dancing like that. They're not about a lovely venue or a beautiful city in which to hold the event. They're not about decent food. That all helps, and I hope there is some later. But events are about people. They're about you guys, and that's been the focus of the organizers. And that's our focus as presenters is you. And when you're organizing your own events, you must always have the audience first, right at the front of your minds at all times. There is a magic answer to all of that, and I'm hopefully going to use a bit of technology to show it. This is going to be ironic if it doesn't work. Here we go. There's a drone coming in, and the three magic words are, anything is possible. That's right, anything you think up, you dream up, we can do. Okay, so you've got some ideas, and I see that you've got three problems, really, and since there are three, I've made a little triangle. And the three problems that we're going to try and solve are budget, or money, or lack of money, more to the point. Year on year, we are being asked to do more for less. People think technology makes things cheaper. So that's one problem we're going to look at. Next problem that happens is timescale. How long have we got to prepare for this event? And that's going to be an issue. And the third one are the meeting objectives. Do we know what the meeting is about? So when somebody phones me up and says, what technology can you recommend for my event? I don't know. This all means that there's quite a lot of risk involved in choosing your technology. If you don't know what the budget is, you don't know how long you've got to prepare, and you don't know what you're trying to achieve, you're going to miss the target, aren't you? And I see you guys, the poor little event organizer, is in the middle, looking at the three things and having a bit of a panic. So my objective today is to take that little guy and calm him down, give him some things to put him in control of the choices he makes. I'm going to have a quick look at these three things, the budget, timescale, and objectives. Two of them, the first two, budget and timescale, they're going to help us not define which technologies we can use at our events, but they're going to help us define which technologies we can't use at our events. And the third one, the objectives, this is the key one. If you remember only one thing, let it be this. So write this down, write it in your hand, maybe turn to your neighbor, write it on their forehead. This is extremely important. And when the man gets out of the way, we can see it's never lose sight of the meeting objectives. Why is that important? Well, this is what you're trying to achieve at your meeting. And technology has a habit of changing those objectives without you realizing, unless you're in control of them. But the important thing, of course, is what are those meeting objectives? I tend to ask a few questions. So the first one is, what type of event are you holding? Is it an exhibition? Is it for fun? Is it a regular meeting? Is it a conference, a business conference? I mean, we do business-to-business conferences. That's why my focus is a bit more on that. But it might be a festival, it might be a mixture. Is everyone all in one room, or are you going into breakout rooms? So that the structure of the meeting is going to help you choose the technologies you want to use. The next question is, who are the people that are coming to the event? You know, are they employees? Are they clients? Are they members of the public? What are the demographics? How comfortable are they with technology? Because you guys are quite comfortable with technology, so I'd be quite happy to use quite a lot of technology with this audience. Now, if this was an audience of my dad, my dad has a PC, a laptop. He doesn't use it. He fights with it. So if my dad was here 80 times, crikey, then I would use something completely different. So it's very important you know who is coming to your event. That's going to make a big difference. The next question, key messages. Are you trying to get across anything? You probably are. You've got some key messages you want people to take away. What are they? How do you want to communicate them to your audience? So if you can define those, then that's going to help you again to define which technologies you can and cannot use. And the final one I tend to ask is, what are you wanting back from the audience? Now, you're giving them technology, they're going to create some data. Fantastic. You know, maybe voting, maybe you're wanting to ask them some questions. Maybe you're allowing them to send in messages, maybe on Twitter or Facebook, or maybe it's an exhibition and you want them to be scanned at the different stands in the exhibition to get some marketing leads and so on. So it's very important that you define what you're trying to achieve and get back from your delegates. So in summary, these are the kind of questions I ask, but it's not a definitive list, and you may have your own questions, and I'm not trying to tell you what you should or should not do, and the type of event is going to influence that anyway. You're going to ask different questions for different types of events. But the key thing is, unless you understand what the meeting is about and who's coming, you're not going to be able to choose the right technologies. Now we've defined our objectives, so we've got them up there, and obviously what we want to do is turn them into results. We want to get our objectives into results. How do we do that? Well, that little blue one in the middle is our method. That's our meeting plan, our meeting design. And I put that there because the technology that we use, the solutions that we use, sit firmly in that middle one, in the method. Okay? And it's important because you should see technology as something that helps you take your delegates, your clients, your guests on a journey from the objectives to the results. Yeah? It shouldn't be the reason for the meeting or get in the way of the meeting itself. If you put technology at an event that is not solving a problem, it is potentially creating one. And if you've got the wrong technologies, you can see here, if I start the machine and put the objectives in, we've got the wrong technologies, we're going to get different results out. We've worked out our budget. We know how much time we've got to prepare for our event, and we've spent some time defining the objectives. Now we can actually go and start playing with fun things, can't we? So what you need to do is talk to your technology supplier as early as possible. The longer you leave it, the less time you have, the more technologies will fall off, and the smaller the choice will be. But I see two problems now with this phrase, talk to your technology supplier. Because, as I said at the beginning, my role has changed. I'm not a supplier anymore. People ask me questions. So you don't need to talk to your supplier, you should involve them. It's a small change, but an important one. You should involve them in the process. And don't see them as a supplier, see them as a partner. And that will change your relationship and get you better results. So, you know, ask for recommendations. You've got your list of your objectives, and see if their suggestions would help achieve the goals. If they just list everything that's on their website and say, this is what you want, then you have the wrong supplier. If they actually think about it or go away and come back and then say, I recommend this one, and this one, then you're on the right track. The next thing is to try and understand what they're saying. And technology doesn't have to be complicated. In fact, the best technology is the simplest at the user level. Make their solutions adapt to your event, not the other way around. Don't adapt your event to the technology. That is, again, that will give you different outcomes, will give you different results. And the last one, and this is probably the most important, is that if you want your attendees, your guests, to use the technology, you must give them a reason to use it. You must make it easier for them, make their lives easier. If it makes their lives more complicated, they're not going to use it. If, for example, they feel like all you're using technology for is just to scan them and they feel like robots and pieces of meat, you're going to have a rebellion. So what I would suggest is have some variety, mix things up, do things differently. Don't use technology all the time, because I don't think technology replaces anything. I think technology should complement things. that you should use it with other things. So you may have, tablets and RFID things, but paper's great. Clients are surprised when I suggest they use flip charts and pens. Changing the way people do things actually makes them more creative. And this is a really scary suggestion nowadays, but try and get people to actually talk to each other. It's frightening, isn't it? I mean, technology nowadays, people seem to be more happy about talking to someone on another continent than they are about talking to someone in the same room. Again, with the digital things, 10 years ago, in this room, if we'd done the same presentation, I may have had 10 people with a device that could connect to the internet. Now we've got 150, and some of you have probably got 2 devices. So in this room, we've probably got 160, 170 devices that might want to connect to the internet. And you should not take for granted that your venue will provide decent Wi-Fi. You need to check it out. Lots of technical questions. The only way to sort it out is to use an expert you can trust. If you don't do this, you're going to get delegates coming up to you going, my phone doesn't work. Not so good. And even worse, if you get too many people trying to connect to the internet, the whole system can crash. And then it's like a crime scene. It's like somebody's died, isn't it? You get this tape going up, Wi-Fi not working, it's awful. The only good thing about it is that no one can go on Twitter and complain about your event. So, in summary, come up with some new ideas, but be realistic. That's the key one. If you see me at the bar later, and the first thing you say to me is, don't lose sight of the objectives, I will allow you to buy me a drink. Generous. Okay, consult with a trusted. You can't be expected to know everything about technology, so find a partner you can trust. Involve your audience, make them think, don't confuse them. Yeah. And make sure you measure the results. So you should use technology to share information, to improve that experience, that delegate experience, that guest experience at your event. Make sure it's inclusive, available to everyone, and it should not steal away attention from the event. After all, and I'll go back right to the beginning, one of the first things I said, meetings are not about technology. Meetings are about people. And that's me done. I don't know if I've got time for any questions. If not, we'll do some later. Thank you very much for your attention.